I do want to point out one thing that the traditional home where we are raised to think about the whole man initiating a relationship or to be the first one to speak their mind and their feelings and so on and so forth. Despite the fact that men, I feel like they face a bit of like injustice of it or injustice that they have to man up and do this and do that. And the fact that now women are taking a more dynamic part in this is really, really awesome. I do want to ask you a question though about self love real quickly, because I think that's something we were not raised to know more about. I don't think a lot of people understand what it means to love yourself and how to do that. So, what kind of tips or advice can you say to someone or tell someone for them to start building this in themselves and to build self love?
So that's a very, very good point because you're right. A lot of us we just weren't brought up to know that self love was so important. Now, I was told by my mom and my dad, you should love yourself, but there was no blueprint on how to do that. It was just love yourself. That's what you should do, whatever that means, right? So I totally agree with that, especially when it comes to men. I have found that a lot of men that are my clients, what's so sad is that they have not been taught how to be emotionally intimate, how to be vulnerable, because most of the times men think vulnerability means being weak because that's what they were taught. They weren't taught how to really share their emotions and communicate in a way that connects to feeling and that's not maybe always so task oriented or just about the facts or just about the resolution, but also about how you feel and what's really going on with you and how that is contributing to how you show up in relationships. And that's the sad part because what they were really taught is just protector, provider, be strong. But the most strength is when you are vulnerable because it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. So my book, The Self Vows, which is for anyone, men and women. And what it speaks about is the traditional vows that we have that we take when we get married. But I found out that the common denominator was with when I was dealing with couples is that no one had taken the self vow to themselves. They were trying to extend this to someone else, but they hadn't taken the self vow to themselves. So, for example, the vow to love and to cherish. Well, if you don't love yourself, maybe you haven't even taken the time to really like you or to even understand what you like so much about you, then how do you do that in a marriage or in a relationship to cherish? Maybe you don't make yourself the priority. Maybe you make everybody else the priority. So you know what it is to cherish someone else, but you don't know what it is to cherish yourself. So how is it that you're going to show up in that relationship or even, a marriage, a lifetime partnership and not know yourself enough to know how you feel cherished and what you need to feel cherished? So it's very important that we take those vows to ourselves first, and then we can extend that to someone else. So the first tip that I would give for whether you're on the journey of starting to like yourself or maybe you already really like yourself. You're doing all those things that I spoke about and now you're on that journey of really falling in love and loving yourself. The first thing that I would say is when you wake up in the morning to give yourself a do-over. A do-over meaning that I'm just resetting everything. I get to start all over every single day. And that will prevent you from being stuck in the past or whatever happened the day before. So if it's, I forgive, whatever, so I'll just use myself. I forgive you, Michelle, for allowing whomever to disrupt your peace yesterday. So that could be something that I may say in the morning. That's my do-over. Or maybe it's that I had some negative self-talk. So I'm going to forgive myself for that And I'm going to tell myself that I love myself. And I'm going to just stretch my hands out, my arms out as far as I can go. And then I'm going to bring them in and I'm going to give myself a big hug before I even start my day. And then the next tip I would say is 5, 5, and 5. 5 minutes to pray, meditate, whatever it is that you connect to. 5 more minutes of stretching, because that is so important to get that energy flowing through our body. And then 5 more minutes to where you are going to be very intentional about writing what you want your day to reflect. So, and with this, I don't want you to go crazy and just write so many things because it's going to be overwhelming. Just write 3 things that you want to be intentional about in your day. If it's peace, then write that you want to be intentional about having peace in your day. So if it's peace, that means that you probably should stay clear of people that you know that bring the drama. So whatever it is that you want to be intentional about, write it down. And this is all before you start your day. This is really some good steps to being on the path of definitely self-love. And then I would also say, lastly, is making up your mind to lean in, to be self aware so that you can get on the road of authenticity, because authenticity is your truth. Start questioning your beliefs because maybe you'll find out that it's not even your belief. Maybe it's your parents' belief. Maybe it's social media's belief. Maybe it wasn't even your belief. And that is so freeing because when you do get to the answer of what you really believe, it is so amazing what you feel that it's not connected to anything else other than your truth, your core, your compass. So those are some things that I would say to do to get started.
That's amazing. And they're so realistic. Like the way you started off as well with like just learn to like yourself first. And how you made it extremely clear by saying that people find it weird that they hug themselves where they can hug and kiss other people. And it just makes so much sense. Thank you so much for putting it that way. That if you don't know, and if you don't have a way to treat yourself or a specific measurement or a place where you hold yourself to the highest regard, then you can't expect other people to do that. It just makes so much sense. So yes, thank you.
Yes,
That's brilliant.
absolutely.
Can you tell us
Absolutely.